It's still morning. I'm in the Pacific Northwest in Portland, and it's definitely morning where I'm at. I spent some time setting up marks on the floor last week, so I would be able to have the camera set up a little more quickly. Looks pretty centered. All right, I'm just grabbing my shoes. I like to do this chair yoga class with shoes on. I'm trying to get it loaded over here on my screen, so if the chat comes up, I can see the chat. Well, hopefully it shows up. If not, I'll work extra hard to look for changes on the different screen here. So shoes and yoga, I particularly like to have my trainers here. They're very lightweight, very flexible. For chair yoga, just because a little extra awareness on my feet when I'm moving the chair around. But I also use these for doing kind of more traditional yoga standing. If one advantage to wearing trainers to do yoga is you don't necessarily need a yoga mat because you've got traction. But the other reason I like to point out people can wear shoes is a lot of folks in the population I've worked with most, elders, some folks, it's contraindicated for them to be barefoot for health reasons. And so a lot of folks would think, well, they can't do yoga because they can't be barefoot. And I would always make sure to model at times that I'm wearing shoes. I'm wearing tennis shoes, and it's okay to put tennis shoes. These tennis shoes only are ever indoors, so I feel okay putting them on my yoga mat. Anyway, welcome to chair yoga. Yoga in chairs is the theme this Thursday. Next Thursday, we'll have another Yoga for Vitality class, which is that, as I like to say, chair-assisted Hatha yoga. And give one last little, there, that's better. When I have all those square lines behind me, it's hard looking at the top of the camera being crooked. Anyway, yoga and chairs this week, yoga for vitality next week. Unless I've got some appointment or something like, I can't, someone coming to work on the house. I'll try to have these Thursday live classes going forward. So I start to have a library of these for folks to access. Even in all my classes, I like to say you start in the comfortable enough position. So in a chair yoga class, that's seated in a chair. I often suggest to people that they can sit kind of all the way back into the chair. My feet don't quite touch the ground if I do that. So they kind of dangle a little bit. I can kind of slouch into the chair. I'm doing this because I want to start with a meditation of feeling the contours of the chair. So when I said feel the contours of the chair, what's the first part of the chair you noticed? And where does it feel like you're making the firmest connection to the chair? Now, where does it feel like, right? You can feel the chairs there, but maybe like there's my chair has a hole through the back. Right? So you can feel a place where it's the back body, but there's some space. And then feel your backside on the chair. And then follow the back of your thighs till you feel where that edge is of the back of the thighs. And then feel down the back of your legs to your feet. For a moment, just rock the feet a little back and forth, press them down, feel that point of connection. And then make your way back up and note if any part of your arms touch the chair. Where and how do you feel the sides? And then feel the whole front of the body. This seated in a chair meditation, I do want to call attention to the fact that it is inspired but from a practice in Resma Medkam's book, My Grandmother's Hands, his book on healing racialized violence. Excellent book, excellent meditation. We sit so often in a chair. So taking a moment to just really feel what that is, seated in a chair, is a meditation we can deploy a lot of places. Chair yoga being one of them. And it gets us curious about the feelings in our body. It gets reconnected to that wisdom self I like to talk about. A lot of yoga therapists like to talk about the wisdom self, I'm sure. And we use that curious, non-judging wisdom self to take in a breath. And as we breathe out, right, we start to bring our attention through the whole body. We've kind of been in the body, but note now just any parts of the body that maybe don't feel great in this moment, or not even close to great. I like to say the not good places. And then we notice places like the earlobes, often the tip of the nose, the very top of the head are neutral. So we find neutral spots, and then maybe, but it depends. If you live with chronic health conditions, you might get to neutral and think, I don't think any parts of the body actually feel truly good today. And that can be fair enough. So we come back to looking for neutral places. But sometimes when we've acknowledged what doesn't feel good in the neutral places, there are a couple places where, like, oh, yeah, actually that part doesn't feel, part feels good. Taking a breath now that feels deeper. Feel not just right the sense of the chest expanding, the abdomen, but feel this in the back body. I always end up sitting forward because it feels like it's easier to focus when I'm teaching, but right, keep the abdomen kind of taut. Breathe into the back body so you're pushing into the chair a little bit more. And on the exhale, feel how you're kind of moving away from the chair back a little bit. Now, if this deep breath feels good and comfortable, stay with a deeper breath. And as you next breathe out, check in with the energetic body, right, which is where we note what our energy level is right now. How has it shifted between the moment you woke up and this next breath? Right, we also just check in and see how the state of our nervous system is today. And we might even, as we're breathing, just visualize, right, or feel. Some people don't have that visual sense, but when I say visualize, I also mean like the kind of the somatic memory or experience of all of the chakras, which light us up with a rainbow of colors and of energy and sound and meaning. Take in a deep breath. As you breathe this next one out, check in with the body of your heart, mind, and acknowledge all the all the thoughts and emotions that are joining you today. Here too, whether they be not good, we can acknowledge our judgment, our boredom, our frustration, our anxiety, all of those folks. And then neutral things like it is the first Thursday in June, which is pretty neutral. And then any good. So, I am grateful always. I have technology that lets me do this, which means I have power and Wi-Fi, and I actually have two Wi-Fi networks in case one goes down. Right? So all of these things, and what I like to call humble gratitudes, I especially think of those on Thursdays because Thursday is the day in my neighborhood when skilled professionals come and take compost and recycling. And today, my neighborhood has like an every other week trash is picked up. So I'm always really grateful for those kinds of humble gratitudes, like people that come and take trash away, and having clean water and, yeah, food in my kitchen. And then I'm going to come back to feeling the chair beneath me, behind me. Grounding into the feeling of being seated. And I'm going to sit up a little taller, right, and start to shrug my shoulders, both of them. Right, starting to get a little dynamic movement in my joints to warm them up. And see, I turn that double shoulder shrug into what I call the backstroke, because there was a time in my younger life when I was a competitive swimmer and water polo player. So you get a lot of swimming metaphors from my teaching. I let my arms just drop down, and I'm just letting them swing. And I'm going to stop the left arm and take this right arm and slowly, I'm going to scoot back before I continue so my hand stays on screen. Because the thing I'm talking about is turning my hand in that full rotation. I'll just get a sip of tea before I go back there. Hey, welcome, folks. We are just getting rolling. Just finished a little guided meditation about the feeling of being seated in a chair. All right, now my arm will stay on screen. So as my hand comes up, right, I rotate my hand, right, and you can see my hand turning for that full rotation. I've done that a couple times one way, and here my palm's facing one way, and I rotate, and it comes up and over. And my arms make a really, really big movement. My shoulders are actually one of my more hypermobile and unstable joints. So if you're like, my arms don't move quite that much, that's okay. Most people just let them move. The idea is discover what is their range of motion today. And I really slow down for that, so I don't have any kind of gotcha moments where I discover that maybe my shoulder's a little out of alignment or my muscles are a little extra stiff. And I, get one of those, because when we, because it hurts, right, you can see that the whole body guards, the muscles guard against injury. Pardon me. A sip of tea didn't apparently work as planned. Let me get some water, and I'm just gonna put that there. My second screen, so I can more easily see if anyone joins or any chat, is not loading today. So I will keep kind of an extra close watch out if anyone has anything. Okay, I'm going to continue with shoulder movement, but also we're going to start to add a movement of the spine. The first movement of the spine is to lengthen, right? Get tall there. I even push out my feet a little bit. I'm going to take my tailbone down, and I'm going to inhale, roll my thumbs back, taking my palms out, and I squeeze my shoulders together a little bit and lift my face a little bit. So I'm getting a little bit of an upper back bend extension. And then I'm going to exhale. I'm going to roll the thumbs in. And let me turn this way. And I'm not really rolling all the way forward. I'm actually just tucking my chin down, rolling my shoulders forward a little bit so that we don't have too much load in the spine on that flexion. Inhale, we're expanding front. Exhale, we're expanding into the back. And we're going to add a little bit here to keep this a little more tight through the whole body. So as you exhale, I want you to push the floor away with the feet. So you feel like you're pushing yourself back in the chair. And then as you inhale, thumbs roll back, you pull a little bit with the feet, lifting the chest, exhale. Right, push back a little bit with the feet. So we start to get some energy through the legs and the core. Okay, and back to a mountain pose. So continuing through these movements of the spine, We're going to start some side bends, and I like to kind of warm up for these first by doing a little bend each side. I go a little bit further. Now, as I'm bending, I'm really connecting through my feet and my seat. One more of these kind of warm up dynamic movements. And then we're going to do kind of a cousin almost to a triangle pose. I call it the water pump, right? We inhale, we get nice and tall. Exhale, we pull the right hand down. Now, you want to keep the left sit bone planted down. That's me pushing down. And then I'm going to inhale, I'm going to lift the left arm up. As I exhale, I might even turn both palms forward or really stretch out across the front and the back. And now here's the water pump element to me. Inhale, you push down the arm of the pump and come up. Exhale, we're going to bend to the left, really anchor through the right side, and then inhale, lift the right arm. Exhale, hold and extend. Inhale, push down the right arm, lift up. And do a few of these. Exhale, bend to the right. Push through that left side. Inhale, lift left. Exhale and hold. Inhale and lift. Exhale, bend over to the left side, and inhale, lift the right side up. Exhale, hold. Inhale and lift. Exhale, bend right. Inhale, lift left. Exhale, hold. Inhale and lift. Exhale, bend over to the left, and then inhale, anchor right, lift right. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bend right. Inhale, lift left. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, bend left. We're going to do one more set of these. Inhale, lift right. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lift. Last one. Exhale, right. Inhale, lift left. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bend right. Inhale, lift left. Exhale, bend left. Inhale. Boy, I lost it at the end. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lift up. And we're going to go into another movement of the spine with just a little small, gentle twist. Made it there till the end, till my the internal record player of my mind skipped the track there. All right, and I have just a little more shoulder movement. I'm going to twist, do a little bit of a hold. Now, you could take left hand, my right hand, forgot a step. I always sit forward, so sometimes I forget to say, if you're still seated all the way in the back of your chair, come forward just enough that you could tap your hand just behind you, right? And sit up really tall for these, because we're going to twist, do that little tap. You could also tap your hand to the outer edge of your chair rather than behind you. And your hand that comes forward can come to the same leg or cross over. And just a little hold when we get to the twist. Notice how my head is following my breastbone. I'm not letting my head twist into this yet. All right, one more of these back and forth, and then we're going to get to the right side and stop. Now, check, does it feel okay to the left shoulder to reach left hand over to right leg? If it's a little stiff, leave it on the left leg. You push off that left hand, get tall. Right hand can come to the outside of the chair, to the back. It can slide behind you. And some of you, you might slide the back of your right hand around. You can see my fingers poking out there, around your hip and lower back towards the left. Which I kind of like to do because it's a little bit of a stretch here for me. I'm trying not to tap the mic. That happens to also be there. Now, everybody glance down. Look, your right knee often is a little behind the left knee. And I want you, we're all going to push into our right foot and push the right knee forward a little bit. So we're a little more in alignment. And then lift your head back up and turn your face to the left. Feel the tailbone still reaching down. You're nice and tall here. And you are breathing here. Okay, let your face unwind first. Especially if you have the arm wrapped behind your back, really gently and slowly bring that out. Unwind the torso the rest of the way. Do a little shoulder shrug, a little shake. Then, right, reach out a little bit, twist to the other side, and right, do that check first. Right arm to right leg or left leg, left hand on the chair, or wrap that hand around you towards the right hip. Glance down at the knees, push into your feet, push that left knee forward, get nice and tall, and then let your face turn to the right. Couple deep breaths here. Seemed like there was chat, but maybe got removed. Okay, unwind the face, unwind the torso gently. As you're unwinding the torso, bring your arm out. Okay, just a little movement there. Shake those arms out. I'm gonna get a sip of water here. If you haven't had a hydration break recently, take a moment to have a sip of something yourself. Okay, much better. So let's continue with a little bit of that extension by doing a few upward facing dogs, seated upward facing dog. Now, I like to anchor my hands over the top of my knees here. What I recommend, because my knees included, can be really tender. So I do a little press in with my fingertips, a little kind of test lift up. And if my knees are like, ooh, I don't want you to do that, what I do instead is I slip my hand behind the back of my leg and kind of anchor here to lift up. When I do this, it depends on, some people can put their hands over their legs and still be pretty much in a mountain pose, right? There's where my fingers end in a mountain pose. So I lean forward a little bit to get my fingers over my knees. I have my feet directly under my knees and a little, they're close, a little close. What I start to do, I'm going to keep my chin neutral for the moment, and I start pulling with my feet first. Don't ever pull yourself out of the chair, but pull a little with the feet. Curve your tailbone down to the chair by taking abdomen to spine, and then lift up a little in your knees or the back of your legs and start bending the elbows. You pull the chest forward and up and lift the face just a little bit towards the sky. We don't ever take the head back as far as we can. We just are lifting the face up a little bit to get a little stretch for the front of the neck. All right, let that release. And a little twist, maybe a little movement for the legs. Do 2 more of those, right? Slide the hands forward or right behind. Tuck, you can see I tuck the chin down to start, and then I pull with my feet, what I call anchoring your base, right? I pull with the feet, take the tailbone down. Abdomen pulling to spine, then I pull my chest forward and up and lift my face up. And I pause and I breathe. So aside from the face, the whole body is really active here. All right, let that release. A little movement, do a little knee drop side to side. All right, as we are doing a little bit of extension through the neck, we're doing the extension through the upper back, maybe into a little bit of the middle back. We are then anchoring middle back to low back to hips to legs to feet. One more time. All right. Hands either behind or in front of the knees. Tuck the chin, stabilize. Push down with the feet, right? Pull a little with the feet. Tailbone down, abdomen to spine. Begin pulling the chest forward and up. Lift the face a little bit and let your face relax. And remember to breathe. One more. And there. And release. And a little side to side movement. Hi, folks. Forgot to turn on the clock. That is easy for me to see. I'm squinting at the... It's because I put it somewhere way too clever, right underneath where I put the camera. Let me turn that on real quick. the really bright clock that's already in this room is actually behind me and covered, but I may have to swap it so I can see it. Anyway, thank you for that moment of me realizing I couldn't really see what time it was. All right, so we've been working a little bit with the core with that upward facing dog. Let's now take the feet out to shoulder width, chair width, and do a downward facing dog flow. Right, hands start down to the sides for this one. And you can see me get tall there. I'm going to take my tailbone down, right? Mountain pose. And then as I inhale, I'm going to bring my hands to in front of the shoulders. And I exhale, I push forward and then up. Push through the feet and the hands. Hold here. Right, so downward facing dog, turned 90 degrees and seated in a chair. We push through the feet, we push through the hands. One more. We're going to hold the first one longer here. One more breath in is what I meant there. And exhale, bring the hands together, right? Keep the back long. It's a shallow bow over the legs. And then we inhale, sweep the arms back behind you, right? So we stay kind of hovering here. As you exhale, make sure you're pulling with the feet, take the tailbone to the chair. And then you're going to inhale, lift not just the torso, but lift the arms up behind you. Exhale, bring the arms back down. Now I'm going to turn sideways, and the chair back gets in the way of doing this easily sideways. So in one moment to turn sideways, so you can get, I'm going to run into that cushion against the fireplace doors. There we go. Okay, so from the side view, that's a little more in center. So focused on centering the chair on the mat. I forgot to say, look if it was centered on camera. So you notice though, 2 feet of the chair are going to stay on the mat. So this chair can't suddenly start sliding on me. Oh, hands to the sides. My brain always goes flow, Anjali Mudra. But this flow is side. Hands start to the sides. We start in mountain pose. Feet are shoulder width, chair width apart, so a little wider. Inhale, elbows bend. Right? You can see me take the tailbone down there. Exhale, push forward and up. Inhale, we hold. Exhale, here comes the bow. Hands come together. Notice how my back stays long and extended, like a plank. Inhale, arms sweep back, and I stay hovering in this plank. Exhale, I'm holding, but I'm pulling with my feet. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, release the arms down. Turn back forward, and we'll do a few more of those. There we go. So here we go. In this slightly wider mountain pose, breathe in, tailbone is down, elbows are bending, hands coming in front of the shoulders. Breathe out, push forward, then up. Push the floor and the wall away. Breathe in. Breathe out, bow, shallow bow. Breathe in. Sweep the arms back behind you and breathe out. Pull with the feet, tailbone down. Breathe in. Lift up. Breathe out, lower the arms, get tall. Breathe in, elbows bend. Breathe out, push forward and up. Breathe in, hold. Breathe out, bow. Breathe in, sweep the arms back behind you. Breathe out, stabilize your base, hold. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, release. One last one of these. Inhale, elbows bend. Exhale, push forward and up. Inhale, hold. Exhale, bow. Inhale, sweep the arms back. Exhale, hold and stabilize. Inhale, lift. And exhale, bring the arms down. Right? Get nice and tall on the inhale, and then exhale. I'm going to turn sideways for this as well for a moment. You're going to drop forward. You actually turn to this side. Yeah, I think I actually stay a little more on camera. There we go. Drop forward one elbow, then the other elbow. Hands, they're either, right, like Namaskarasam, Anjali Mudra. You could interlace the fingers, make a double fist, or I am a fan of one soft fist with the other hand wrapped around it. We do that because we're going to push the hands together, push off our forearms. And you can see, like, my back's not super curved, but I push off my forearms, take my chest forward and up. I'm keeping my chin tucked down. I am pulling with my feet and pulling. You can see how much I'm pulling. I just lifted my chair up, right? So try and keep the chair down. I call this the seated plank, right? And then what we do is we soften the legs, the hips, the abdomen, right? The glutes. And I rock forward on my sit bones and lift my tailbone up and get a little bit of lower back extension. And then I pull the tailbone back down, come to that seated plank. Okay, I'm going to turn back forward. A little awkward. The side of the chair, definitely this chair feels like I'm on the side of the chair. You can see me do that hand thing, right? I'm going to rejoin that plank, and then I'm going to soften. And you can see there's this dropping down of the abdomen in that softening. And then I strengthen, and I come back to that plank. And I'm going to soften again. Let the tailbone lift up. Just pause here. A little bit of movement here in the very bottom of the spine. All right, now strengthen one more time, back to a plank. And then this time, slide one hand under the other. Use an inhale. Come on up. I need a sip of water again because I feel like I've hit the magical moment when my allergy medications start working. Except, my face is really itchy today. Pardon me, everyone. Just kind of need to. I have an art studio kind of beneath, roughly beneath where we are at, where you are seeing that right now. My art studio is downstairs, and I've been doing a lot of stuff down there with rearranging, which means dust, and on top of all the tree pollens and grass pollens. I am also allergic to dust, so I feel extra itchy today. All right. We are going to continue doing some strengthening. Apparently, I'm going to cough first. For the core, I want to do some strengthening for the core and the side body, and look at what my teacher, Molly Landon-Kenny, who has a channel here on YouTube as well. Should see if she's put anything recently. She calls these triangle like lift ups. And this is a seated version. You can see what I first do for these is I scoot to the right edge of my chair. And then I do what I call the square step, right? Because it's kind of like the sides of a box here. I'm going to make sure both feet are directly under or a little in front of the knees, right? Too much flexion, right, in the knees can actually put some stress on them, especially when we're doing these kind of strength things. You'll notice when you do the square step, it turns you to the right. We push or pull out of the feet, turn the torso out over this left leg. Now check, right knee, we don't want it to collapse in. So you might even bring your right hand here, push into your right foot, make sure your right knee is maybe is reaching back, or at the very least it's not collapsing in. Make sure right sit bone is on the floor, on the chair. Bring the arms out, sit up tall, big breath in. As we breathe out, we reach here to the right and we flow down. I didn't skip back as far as I had before, to the right, but I'm just on. Note how my right arm, I'm kind of bracing it here against the inside of my right leg. I'm reaching my left arm up. There's our triangle pose. All right, take a breath in. Here comes the lift up. As you breathe out, you reach over here to the right, you grab a helium balloon. And then you inhale, you lift that helium balloon over your head. Exhale, glide the arms down. Let's scoot back just a little bit more. I noticed earlier this week that, especially with chair yoga, I can go back a little bit further so I don't end up partially off the screen. Okay, back to center. Inhale, reach out. We're going to do 4 more of these. Big breath in, push out of your feet or pull. And exhale, reach to the right, flow into a triangle, breathe in. Exhale, grab a helium balloon to the right. Try not to let your chest drop forward. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, flow the arms down. Inhale, arms flow out. Exhale, reach to the right and down. Inhale, expand. Exhale, giant balloon to the right. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, flow the arms down. Inhale, arms flow out. Exhale, reach right, expand. Inhaling. Exhale, grab a giant balloon. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, flow down. One more, and we're going to add a twist at the end. Inhale, reach out. Exhale, flow into a triangle to the right. And inhale, expand. Exhale, grab a giant balloon. Inhale, lift that balloon up. And exhale, twist and hold that balloon up into the left. Push into your right foot. Let that right knee reach back. Make sure right sit bone is still on the chair. All right, unwind. And now we're going to add a version of a warrior two that actually came from an article about, I don't remember if it was 5 or 6, but it's a handful of poses about bone health. And one of them was this seated version of warrior. So what I do is get a little bit back to the center of the chair, and then you can see I've still got the square step right, but I do this wide step left. I push down on the chair and lift my hips up, and then make sure my feet are a little more lined up. Then I bring my hips down. Right? We push through the feet as hard as we can, and that is the energy for the arms to come up. Make sure the tailbone is reaching towards the chair. You are nice and tall and centered here. It is a long hold. They recommend 12-second or even longer holds for these. It's part of the reason I like to make sure I can see the clock, because most of the time I'm just doing a steady count, but this is one of the times it really is I'm holding the whole count. Okay, now we come in. I recommend grabbing the chair before you step the wide step in and step the square step in. And then before we do the other side, okay, just a couple little circles. These can be small or go the other direction too. You can take the legs wide and make these really big. What I do is I circle around the outer edge of the feet. We don't ever try and squish the arch down. Not even if you, it's definitely one of those, even if you can, because your joints have that much mobility, definitely should. You should not. So you saw I did that little bit of wiggle to the left side. Just to make sure I stay there on camera, I'm going to scoot my chair a little bit over. And then I square step left, right? Kind of turns me into that. And then I push out of my feet. I want to keep that left sit bone down, turn my torso out of the right leg. Check, left leg is not dropping inwards. I want it to be reaching back. This should feel like some work for the inner thighs. Okay, inhale, arms reach out, right? Both sit bones on the chair, tailbone reaching down. Reach out, breathe out, flow into triangle. We're going to hold the first one for a couple breaths. Extend through the side body. There we go. Because my shoulders are so mobile, I check, because usually one arm is actually way back behind me. All right, here comes the lift ups. First of 5. All right, big breath in. Exhale, helium balloon to the left. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, float the arms down. Inhale, arms flow out. Exhale, we reach out to the left and we flow into a triangle. Breathe in. Exhale, grab a giant helium balloon to the left. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, let the arms flow down. Inhale, arms flow out. Exhale, we flow left and down. Inhale, expand. Exhale, giant balloon. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, let the arms flow down. Inhale, arms flow out. Exhale, to the left. Inhale, expand. Exhale, giant balloon. Inhale, lift it up. We have one more. Inhale, arms go out. Exhale, we flow left and into triangle and breathe in. Grab a giant balloon. This is the one with the twist. Inhale, lift up. Make sure that left knee doesn't collapse in. And twist. Hold that balloon up. Twist right. And now unwind. Bring the hands down to the chair for support. Maybe start to scoot a little towards the center. And you do a wide step right. Notice how I'm bringing my left foot forward. I still apply, right, especially these wide ones, even seated, the arch of that, not the arch, the heel of that front foot, in this case that's the left foot, lines up roughly towards the arch of the back foot. There I do that little lift up to, right, get settled, make sure I'm even, feel a little more strong through the legs, and then I bring the hips back down to the chair. Then I push through the feet as hard as I can. That's the energy to lift the arms up. You can see me get taller there. And now we're in the long hold. So don't stop breathing as we hold here. Reach to the feet, reach the tailbone to the chair. We are almost there. All right, you have arrived. Bring the hands down, hold on while you bring wide step in. Bring the square step back in. I'm gonna grab another sip of tea. Allergy meds are definitely working. We may have an Ursa Minor. That's my piebald tabby, polydactyl tabby. I hear him meowing on the opposite side of the curtain, and he may join us any moment. Okay, take a moment, just lift up one foot. And if this is hard to do, right, bring your hands behind the back of the legs. Speaking of, point and flex that foot. And then the other one, if it's not hard, another support is to keep hands on the chair, which is what I'm doing. I'm leaning back slightly too, a little point and flex. There we go. This is noticing my ankles were feeling a little stiff. I guess something is extra exciting. What is going on, man? I'm not sure. He is not an outdoor cat or an indoor outdoors in the traditional sense, but he gets to go out onto the deck off of the kitchen dining room, which is a second floor deck, and he's not actually super motivated to ever leave the deck, so it's pretty safe. But yes, something has excited him because he's got an extra poofy tail. So hopefully he'll get in his favorite chair in a moment. Dude. What startled you? He's easily startled for a cat named for a bear. But he is named for Maurice Sendak. Most people know Maurice Sendak for the Wild Things, but he also had a character in serious stories he drew called Little Bear. And Ursa, he has a way of sniffing and lifting his face up at the sun, and particularly when he was a fuzzy, tiny, tiny kitten, he looked very much like Little Bear. So he had been named Ursa Minor in the foster litter he was being fostered in. So we just kept it. All right, let's roll right along into, we did those big wide movements. Now we're gonna do some lean backs. And this is actually a whole series of movements we're gonna do. Not lean backs, this is a little like boat pose, right? But we're gonna do one leg at a time. Now, if you are feeling like pretty like strong and energetic, you might have the hands at the heart or even hands nice and wide out to the sides. If you're feeling a little wobbly, whether it's your body is a little tired, you're low energy, or your heart is heavy, maybe have hands on the chair for this. Feet, right, directly underneath the knees or even a little in front of the knees because we're going to be pushing off. Hey man, I know things are weird, but you are right in the way. Let's actually encourage this. Say hello, everyone. This is Ursa Minor. You can see his awesome nose and his giant paws there. And hopefully, if I put him in his chair, he will stay there. No, something has spooked him about the curtain, which he has totally been chill about until today. Cats. Okay, so I was about to do one-legged boat pose, or I mean, it's kind of an outrigger canoe. And right, I was going over all those places the hands could be. I'm going to do mine right here. Take in a deep breath, just because sometimes I start to like, my shoulders start to curl forward. So this makes me keep my chest and back pretty expanded and tall. Take a breath in with me. And as you breathe out, first push off your left foot, you're going to tip back and bring that right leg like it's rigid up with you. Take in a breath as you hold here and breathe out and bring that down. Now, I like to recommend the exhale on this, so you have to kind of slow that exhale down and really get the energy of that exhale, is that you either blow out the exhale like you're blowing bubbles, so very gently, okay? Or hum. Both of those things, pursed lip exhale, which is blowing bubbles, and humming slows our exhale down, right? So it sustains us a little more. We keep the oxygen in our body a little bit longer, right? That process of carbon dioxide and the oxygen that happens, it's just magical thing our lungs do. Okay, inhale. Hands are either supportive here or here. Push off that right foot. Exhale, tip back. Bring the left leg up with you. Take a breath in. And now try this. Exhale, go. Till you're all the way back in. Inhale, get tall. You're pushing off the left foot. Exhale, try the blowing bubbles. Tip back. Blowing bubbles, bringing the right leg up with you. Breathe in. Exhale, tip forward, blow bubbles. And come on up. He's mostly off the screen. Inhale, get nice and tall. Push through the right foot. Exhale, tip back. Blowing bubbles or humming. Bring left leg with you. Inhale, hold. Exhale, tip forward. Now, I had mentioned hands could be on chair, but if this tip back, holding that leg, you are really feeling that. Sweep your hands behind and hold the leg as you hold the shape. I'll show with this one, right? Breathe in, get nice and tall. So I'm going to keep my hands here so they're ready to grab my legs. I'm pushing the left leg, exhale, tip back. As the right leg comes up, there you see I hook my hands behind the back of the thigh, kind of pull the thigh towards me, pull myself towards the thigh, breathe in. And now exhale, I can even keep a hold of it as I tip forward, right, and sit up and let it down at the end. So you can add that support of your arms here or even with the leg. Take a breath in, push to the right foot, exhale, tip back, bring left leg with us, hold, breathe in. Exhale, tip forward. Breathe in. Push off the right left foot, exhale, tip back, bring right leg with us, breathe in. Exhale, tip forward. Push off right foot, exhale, tip back. Left leg is lifting, breathe in and hold. Exhale, tip forward. We're going to do one last set of these. Breathe in. Push off left foot. Exhale, tip back. Bring right leg with you. Inhale and hold. Exhale, tip forward. Inhale, get tall. Breathe in. I already said that. Exhale, tip back. Bring left leg with you. Hold. Breathing in. And exhale, tip forward. And release. And move a little side to side. I just realized why the cat is being extra skittery this morning and wants to be right here. The compost, recycling, and trash trucks are rumbling through the neighborhood, and he must have gone out on the deck and one of them rumbled past and he got spooked. Because that would be a very, very much an Ursa thing to happen. Sorry, ma'am. I know I'm telling people all your secrets. I think that's it, because I don't think Rain has it. Rain doesn't spook him, it just irritates him. Not quickly too. He will often go out and sit on the deck near, he can hear the rustling bamboo and be kind of in it, where it comes up to the deck, and he'll even be out there in the rain for a while if it's misting. Okay, I want to do just one last thing at this angle before I come forward, and we can do a little bit for a neck. And I'm going to just do that because Ursa's there. And this is this sciatic nerve gliding. You can find the video for this, a supine one and this seated one on my channel. But I took my right foot out and I've got the foot flexed back. And so my knees will hyperextend if they're in this position. They'll hyperextend really easily. So I recommend this to everyone too. pull through your thigh. Like it's like a shrug through for your hips and legs. Pull your thigh up into your hip. Right? It's just good for everybody, but if your knees hyperextend, this will stabilize your knees. Then I keep the hands here. We've been here a while. Tuck the chin down to the neck. Okay, now flip your foot over. We'll hold this foot, first one for a moment too. So before you do anything with the face, just hold this with the foot. Pull a little through the thigh. It might feel a little like you're trying to pull the floor towards you. Stretch your toes out a little, even inside shoes. Your shoes for yoga, you should be able to stretch your toes out inside some, right? Okay, now we'll add the face bit. Face lifts up towards the sky. You don't take the head all the way back, just lift it up. Okay, now bring the toes back towards your face and tuck your chin to the neck. And now take your toes forward, tap your toes forward, lift your face up, toes back, chin comes down, toes forward, face lifts up. Toes back, chin tucks down, toes forward, face lifts up. Toes back, chin tucks down, toes forward, face lifts up. One more of these, toes back, chin tucks down, toes forward, face lifts up. Okay, and then bring that leg back in. I'll circle one way, maybe drop the knee in and out, moving the hip. And then the other leg. So the first one really isn't the sciatic nerve glide. We're actually just doing a stretch for the ankle and the back of the leg here. So I take my heel out, bring the toes. Again, my toes are actually stretched out a little inside my shoes, and I am pulling my thigh towards my hip here. So there's a push through the heel, but a pull through the thigh. So there's kind of the legs moving in counter energy. Okay, now get the other, flip the foot over, stretch the top of the foot out. And again, you're almost like pulling now with the foot. Pull the thigh into the hip, pull through the top of the foot, stretch the toes out. Get an ankle and foot stretch. All right, now we'll do the sciatic nerve glide. I flip the foot over, bring the toes towards my face. I tuck the chin down towards my neck. And I turn the foot over, toes forward, face lifts up, toes back, chin tucks down, toes forward, face lifts up, toes back, chin tucks down, toes forward, face lifts up, toes back, chin tucks down, toes forward, face lifts up, and toes back, chin tucks down, and toes forward, face lifts up. And release, bring your foot back in. Again, you might do a little movement for that. You may even just give legs a little shake. Buddy, I'm gonna move my chair. I'm gonna do a little bit of stretching for, little stretches for the neck, a little dynamic movement for the neck. Okay, ready? I thought you would just stay there. Yep. I think that's where he's wanted to be all along. Take a moment, have a hydration break with me. Into my tea off camera. All right. Arms, letting them just rest on the leg for the moment. And make sure, especially when we have a camera, right, we tend to get a little bit head forward in the camera. So we sit up nice and tall. And this is in the range of dynamic movements. We're going to pretend, right, a piece of paper is here in front of the face. And without turning my head to the side, this is another video you can find on my channel, this series. I'm drawing with a figure 8 sideways with my chin right in front of me, or an infinity symbol to be more correct. Right? And I've done several of those with the chin. I'm not going to move to the lips. So every time I do that, you see I kind of do a little bit of movement, check that I'm in a mountain pose, and then I think about the curve that is made to each side and the cross in the center, the X. I love this series of dynamic stretches for the neck because because of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, I live with kind of chronic misalignment of the neck, permanent. We now move from the lips to the tip of the nose, and I have a lot of stiffness some days. And sometimes this dynamic, gentle rocking of the cervical spine, that's the vertebra of the neck there, it helps loosen up some of that stiffness for me really effectively. Okay, a little movement, a little bigger movement after that one. Now, both eyes at once, which can feel bigger, which I find interesting. I will often find as I'm doing this at one spot, particularly, and right now it's this one, I will hear kind of the crunchiness of the stiffness and stickiness and inflammation in the muscles and the fascia kind of moving around a little bit, which is good. All right. I kind of paused and did that one just a little bit longer because I was hearing that kind of, oh, stuff's moving there. Now we go to, because I'm a yoga therapist, I say we go to the third eye there rather than the center of the forehead. And it's the same motion. This sideways figure eight and infinity symbol without turning the head to the side. You can see when I'm doing these, I actually make a point to not look at the camera, but I look up and forward so my head stays neutral. My neck is nice and neutral. All right, and then we pause. Yeah, that loosened things up a bit. So I'm gonna now do a little bit more of a neck stretch, and hands still in the legs. I'm gonna drop my right ear over there to the right shoulder. And then I squeeze gently. We're gonna do 2 rounds. First round, just this. Let the arms relax, shoulders relax, but you're tall. And squeezing there. I found a little bit more squeeze. All right, now lift that up. Ooh, big double shoulder shrug back. Even a no. And nice and tall. All right, draw the head back. Tip the head over to the left side. Tall through the spine, mountain pose, arms and shoulders totally relaxed. Face relaxed, jaw relaxed. Okay, bring your head back up. Again, little movement. I'm going to tuck my chin down and rock my head side to side as I'm circling it the downward facing no. All right, roll the head back up. Mountain pose, nice and tall. Squeeze that right ear over to the right shoulder. We're going to, here's second round. And what I do is I drop first, just drop the left arm down. Let it hang. And this might feel like you're like, okay, that's enough. If it feels like more, it'd feel good. First, just stretch out your fingers. Feel like almost like the fingers have been drawn down by magnetic force that's pulling through the arm. Get long through the arm. And then you pull the fingers back and push the floor away. And then curl the hand up and in. Right. Go back all the way to extension, all the way to flexion, going back and forth while you squeeze right ear to right shoulder. And this is a kind of nerve gliding, nerve flossing for the 10th or is it the 8th? The cranial nerve that starts cranium at your head, but then splits in 3 as it comes out of the neck to the shoulder and goes down all the way to the hand. All right, give that a little shake and bring the left hand back to the left leg. Very slowly bring your head up and then little backstrokes, a little no. Do a little downward no. Okay, bring the head back up. Mountain pose. I go to take my head back and I realize I've leaned my whole body back. Squeeze your left over to left shoulder. Right, first just that settle, then let the right arm drop down. Right, and if this is enough, just letting the right arm hang, don't add anything else. Just let the arm hang. That'll be traction. But let me pop that off my hand so I get a little more movement. My silver ring splint. For my thumb, my CMC joint is problematic in both hands, but especially this one. Okay, here we go. Now I can first just stretch the fingers out. Feel like a magnet is drawing my arm down towards the earth. And then I peel the hands and the thumb back and I push the ground away. That is a good stretch today. And then I curl the hand up all the way and in and out and in. I'm just doing this several times. All right. And let that arm just kind of shake out a little bit and bring it back to the leg. And slowly bring the head up. And then I'm drawn to do the big double shoulder shrug there. Back. And yeah, I think a no will feel really good. And I'm going to do kind of a cousin to the downward no. I'm going to tuck my chin down, right? Rock the ear to the shoulder, bring it down, rock it to the other shoulder. One more like that. Similar to the movement we just did, but getting there a different way. And then definitely the sibling to that movement. I draw my collarbone along the right shoulder, chin along the right collarbone, so I end up looking to the shoulder. Bring that down, chin along the left collarbone, so I end up looking left and down. A couple more of these each side. I actually like to tie these to the breath. Breathe in, right? Lift the head up into the left. Breathe in, up into the right one more time. Breathe out, down. And breathe in, up and left. And breathe out, down. And breathe in, lift the head up. So we are at the point where we're going to do a little breath practice. You might have a little bit of something to drink. If you realize you're starting to cool off as we slow down from doing more energetic movement postures, grab something to put around you so that you feel warm. And I recommend when we get to this part, unless the breath we're doing really requires that you sit up tall, that you can go ahead and slide back into the chair, kind of wiggle in there, hands resting in what feels like just the comfortable enough position. And let your attention first just come to the breath. What do you notice about your breath in this moment? Maybe let out a little bit of a sigh, a little settling sense. And you don't have to find a way to look at seconds for this. You can just count to yourself 1, 2, 3, 4, just an even cadence. And the next time your inhale comes along, count 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't matter how long it is. Just note that information. And when the exhale comes along, do the same thing. Right? 1, 2, 3. And yours could be shorter, could be longer, right? Doesn't matter. We're going to do a box breath. And when we do a box breath, we first try and see if we can make kind of even sides, as it were. So when the majority of the time, people's inhale and exhale are not even. Once in a while it happens and someone's is. And what we do is we speed our inhale up a little bit and we deliberately kind of linger over the exhale to slow it down. So see if you can find a breath that is even. And if your inhale is like a 6 and your exhale is a 3, do not try and get your exhale to be a 5. Instead, try and get your exhale and inhale to be a 4. Right, so a faster inhale, but not as long, and just starting to stretch that exhale out, especially if you're new to these kinds of breath practices. where you're trying to make the breath fit shape. It's definitely going against what the lungs just want to do on their own. Now, having made a even or close enough to even inhale and exhale, we're going to add a top and a bottom to our box. So we inhale, there's that even inhale, and when we get to the top of it, we pause. This pause is no longer than the inhale was, could be shorter. Then there's an exhale, right? There's that even exhale, and we get to the bottom of it, and we pause. Here too, make sure this exhale pause, no longer than the exhale itself was, could be shorter, especially if pausing in the exhale space starts to make you feel anxious or queasy or faint, right? Don't hold it for very long. Hold it for even a 1. I keep a fancy box from Uwajimaya, a Japanese supermarket in the area I live in Seattle. And I like to save it because it's a reminder that, like, this box, it has 3 even sides, but one side, totally different shape. Totally an adequate box. So if one side or all the sides even need to be a little bit different, it's still a box. So let's practice that for a moment together. Inhaling, pause, exhaling, pause, inhale, pause, exhale, pause. Now, if you find at the end of your exhale pause, your inhale, right, it's a big gasp, you're holding your exhale pause for too long. So make even if like you want to leave all the other the inhale and the inhale pause the same, make your exhale pause less long, right? So the inhale is easy. If you find your mind wanders off while you're doing a breath practice or a meditation practice or a movement practice, let that wisdom part of yourself acknowledge, I'm thinking. And then what I do at that point, have a little celebration. You noticed, you acknowledge. That's mindfulness in action when we notice like that. And then I exhale. And then I exhale, pause, because I'm doing a box breath. And then inhale and inhale, pause. So just acknowledgement, maybe a little tiny celebration that you notice that you were thinking. And then you bring yourself back into the practice. Next time you finished your exhale pause, let the breath return to what is your ordinary average breath for this moment. Stay really observant. What happens when you let the breath return? Let the body find its way to the breath that feels just average. You're not trying to make it fit a shape. And as you breathe this average breath, draw your awareness again into the back body. Maybe once more, wiggling your body into the back of the chair, feeling where the chair back begins. Do your arms touch the chair? Really depends on the shape of your chair. And as you follow the shape of the chair down your back, where do you start to feel the chair back become the chair seat? What does that area of transition feel like to your body? Your seat as well on the seat of the chair. And again, feeling along the seat of the chair to where the seat ends at the back of your thighs. Follow the legs down and feel the way the feet are supported by the floor, the earth beneath you. The chair is supported by the floor and the earth beneath you as well. And then let your attention flow up the tops of the feet and the front of the legs, feeling that point of transition, right, where we can feel through the thighs the pressure of the chair. Sense where the chair is, letting our awareness flow up and pausing a moment to where the hands are resting on the legs. Just feeling that support as well. Feel where you can sense the arms touching the body, feeling the front of the torso, the chest and the abdomen, feeling the place where the arms join the shoulders, feeling the whole of your neck, the upper back, above the chair back, and then feeling the very whole of your head. Is there any tension in the face or the shoulders or the hands or anywhere really in the body, the back, the legs? Can any tension that you notice just let go for a moment? Till you can sense that your whole body is resting here. Easy and supported in the chair, or at ease and supported in the chair. If you are a person who visualizes, take a moment and make an image of your whole self resting, supported by the chair here. Make that little image in your mind to come back to. And if you're not a person who visualizes, which there's a lot of people who do not, you might really even do a little bit, again, a little bit of a wiggle and seal in the sensations of your body at rest in this moment. This sensation of rest and support from the chair, making a sense memory of what rest feels like, what resting in a chair feels like. So the next time we're somewhere like, a healthcare provider's office where we have to sit and wait, we can come back to this sitting in a chair meditation and the memory that being seated in a chair can be a restful posture. Now, start to find a little bit of movement. You maybe sit up a little taller. We'll know the hands and feet move. And thank you for practicing with me here at the end of a chair yoga session. So I hope that when you find this video, it's good to have this full-length class that you can refer to, especially on days when if you're one of my regular students, and if you want to be one of my quote regulars, check out my information in my channel. You can find a link to subscribe to my newsletter where you get all the information on how to join my Zoom classes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Yoga and chairs 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and yoga with chair, hatha yoga assisted, chair assisted hatha yoga on Tuesdays. Other than that, just thank you for joining me, and Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you for your practice.